Hello and welcome to this, my next chess video. This is showing a 5-minute blitz game that I played recently. That is yesterday, Saturday the 15th of June 2013. My rating is very poor still on FICS. I'm about 1100. White opponent here was 1250 and it's showing an English defence. As I say, I'm black. The English defence starts 1d4 and black plays e6, and I was recommended to play this by a chess coach because sometimes white can then play e4 on move 2 and then black can play d5 transposing into the French defence, which is a defence I'm quite comfortable with and usually use against 1e4. Now not many white players really do play that, because when you play a d4 opening you don't really want to change, I don't suppose, and go to the e4 opening, the French defence, but it does happen occasionally, and when it happens I'm quite comfortable with that. But the English defence isn't actually seen very much against the d4 queen pawns opening, and sometimes it can take opponents by surprise. It's a defence that I'm working on a bit. There's two well-known Grandmaster games that are often quoted, and one is Spielman versus Polgar 1993, where Spielman won, and the other Pologorski, sorry, that's a Russian Grandmaster, can't pronounce his name, against Korchnoi, and 2 wins for Korchnoi and Spielman in those games for black. And they used a slightly different setup, but anyway, I'm going to go on with my game here because there's a lot to get through. 1d4, and the English defence response is e6. Knight to f3 here, and the next English move is b6 in reply, and here comes the d4 Queen's gambit type move, the c4 move, and here bishop to b7 is typical of the English defence. It is a hallmark of the English defence. White plays e3, simple consolidating the central pawn chain, and now I play bishop to b4 check, trying to provoke white to play the knight to c3, where sometimes bishop takes knight can result in double pawns on the c file, which is sometimes quite an advantage for black, or can be a little advantage. But here white replies bishop to e2, and so what to do? I don't really want to retreat the bishop now, be a bit of a waste of a tempo, so I just play bishop takes bishop, and white recaptures queen takes bishop. And now I start to develop on the king side with knight to e7, and I'm looking here to castle king side and play f5 and go into my trademark castle king position with a pawn chain from d to f5. That's not always done in the English defence. Anyway, white replies a conservative move, getting ready to castle bishop to e2. I castle king side. White develops his other knight to c3, and there I play f5, setting up the characteristic pawn chain that I use in the English defence. White castles king side. I start to manoeuvre my knights and to bring my pieces to the king side for the king side attack that I like to try and employ in this defence. And white now plays for a break in the centre with a fairly early d5, and I decide to ignore this and play e5. I don't think opening the centre at this stage would help me. White puts further pressure on the d file with rook on a1 to d1, and I try to close off the d file with playing d6. White now plays a pawn move h3 to stop anything coming onto g4. I develop the queen to e7. And here white now starts a few moves with the knight, but knight to b5 is not really a very good outpost for that knight, because I can simply kick it with a6, and now white starts to he just retreats his knight, so it's a bit of a waste of a move. I develop my other knight to d7, trying to bring it across to the king side now, to bring my pieces and pawns for a kingside attack. White plays b5, trying to attack with the pawns on the queen side, but I really just more or less ignore this and bring my knight over again, keep moving that knight into position, knight to f6. And here white plays what I think is poorly. He puts his knight into reverse and takes it onto f1. I really think this is poor play from white. Anyway, I push on and try and gain more space and start my attack on the king side with f4. White captures e takes f, I play knight takes f, and the bishop is played out, and here I just decide for an interesting move. I play e4, which means my knight is free and can be taken. Queen takes knight, in which case I then take the bishop, but white decides to preserve his bishop with bishop to e2, but that's not such a great move, because I now want to take that bishop, and so I play knight takes bishop, so exchange a knight for a bishop, which I think is quite good for me. Queen takes, and now I put more pressure on the e-file with rook on from a8 to e8, and here goes white now manoeuvring that knight around again. It goes now to c2, and I think white just is losing time with all these funny knight moves. I now have to try and get my bishop into the action. Usually on b7 it's in a good place, but because I pushed with my pawn to e4 and white had blocked his pawn with to d5, that bishop was blocked in. So here the bishop has come to c8, and I'm already thinking of doing a bishop sacrifice. Bishop takes on h3, just to open up lines to the castle white king. Now white plays his knight now to e3, so the white knight is going all over the place. I bring my queen up, queen to e5, attacking the knight on c3, and that knight goes into reverse. So, you know, white really is not doing very well with these knight moves. I don't think they're going anywhere for him. Instead I bring my knight into the game, knight to h5, hoping it to bring it to f4 very soon. White now brings his knight up back to d2, so white's knight manoeuvres keep going on, and I bring my knight now to f4, attacking the queen. Queen goes back to e1, and there I play a nice bishop sacrifice. Bishop takes h3, and white does play g takes h3, but I have a good move here now. Knight takes h3 with a check, and the king goes into the corner to h1, and I bring the queen over to h5, getting ready to really attack that exposed now white king. And I don't really know what white is doing here, whether white's got a better move than knight to g3, but I play the good move here now. Knight takes f2 check, and it's a double check because the queen on h5 is checking the king, and the king has to then move to h1, and I play the checkmate move, queen to h1 checkmate, and win the game. So that's the end of that. Quite a nice little checkmate finish for me. Hope you've enjoyed watching, and maybe have learned something about the English defence. Thank you very much.